Hey friends, happy Friday. I hope you've had a fantastic week. I've had so much fun with this Book Launch Truths series this week, and before I sign off for the weekend, I want to keep my promise to all of you for sharing one book launch truth a day this week and share with you perhaps the most important book launch truth of them all. And that is this: your book launch is not the finish line, it's the starting point. Now you may be saying, oh, well, duh, I know that. And yet so much of the advice out there in the publishing world will lead you to believe that the launch is your end all and be all, and that, yes, Clay, hey, thanks for joining. And you have lived this with me with Joey's recent launch of Never Lose a Customer Again. There's so much conventional advice out there about what a book launch has to mean for your message and for your book. And well, of course, we want to do the best that we can in getting the message out there and to take advantage of the excitement of, seeing your book on the shelf and having it officially out there in the world. 99% of the time, authors feel the pressure to exhaust themselves. On Wednesday, we were talking about the fact that launches can be physically and emotionally and exhausting. And that actually comes from this belief, or this assumption that the book launch is the finish line, and that if you don't have this amazing launch and basically kill yourself to try to get on the bestseller list, that your book is going to go nowhere, or that no one's going to purchase it, or that you're not going to be to use Ryan Holiday's term, a perennial seller. And the reality is, although, as I mentioned, you do want to make the most of your launch, you want to give it your best shot, you want to create momentum for your message and book, it's really just the starting point. So it's kind of like a triathlon. The book launch is the swimming phase, and you get out of the water and you're exhausted and you're like, I'm done. But actually you're not. It's time for the road race. It's time to run those 26 miles. And then after that, it's time, to finish the biking. I may have mixed those two up. Clearly I'm not a triathlete. But the point is that there's so much more to do for your book after launch day and after launch week. So as you're planning your launch, whether that be a national bestseller campaign, or you're taking more of that launch and build approach that I was chatting about in video number 4, do the best that you can. Use the strategies that are available to you. Use your time, money, and resources as best as you can and give it your all, but don't exhaust yourself to the point that you want to give up on the day after that your book launches. Say, keep some reserves in the tank. Keep some reserves in the bank. That rhymed. But remember that it is a marathon, and that the bigger reason that we're doing this is, yes, it's great to be a bestseller and it's fun to launch, but if you have a conversation, you have a message and you truly want to change the conversation in your industry, this is about the long game. This is about being able to step on a plane 1, 2, 5, or 10 years from now and see a fellow passenger reading your book. And if we're playing the long game, then that requires that we have that long-term strategy. We take advantage of the launch and the momentum, but we know that the launch is not the end-all be-all. It's really fun. It's a party. It's exhausting. There's those emotional ups and downs, but life goes on. And the difference between the bestseller for a day, a week, or a month, and those category leaders and recognized experts that their books sell thousands of copies year after year after year, those are the authors that in the days and the weeks and the months following the launch, they're still asking for Amazon reviews. They're still eager and yes to agreeing to be on a podcast, or to doing a guest article, or being a part of a webinar for a conference or industry group. So the pace and the timing of how much you put into your book is going to change over time. We put a lot of intensity into a launch and, after you launch, life has to somewhat go back to normal, like you're running your business or you're an executive and you have, work to do other than thinking about your book 24/7, but you can settle into this really nice pace of saying, what are a couple of things that I can do every day or every week to continue to spread the message of my book, to continue to engage with readers, and to continue to grow my audience in a much wider way, and of course, sell books. Because at the end of the day, it's about the transformation that we're creating with our audience, and our book is just the vehicle to help us do that. But we're the best champion out there for our message, and the book doesn't sell itself. So if you settle into that like steady pace and set some small goals for yourself, related to podcast interviews and getting Amazon reviews and making the most of each little opportunity that you have, that's what allows you to create the longevity. And then you'll be able to look back a couple of years from now and say, wow, look at the impact that I've made and look at what I've been able to do with my book, regardless of where you started with the launch and however big or small your platform was and budget and resources. So, okay, everyone, have a fantastic weekend. I'll leave it here for today. As always, I'd love to hear your questions and comments, so please leave them below. I'd love to hear about your launch experiences, the good and the bad and the ugly. And most of all, if you've enjoyed this series and there are other topics that you want me to go deeper into or to touch on that we didn't discuss this week, please let me know, because I'll be doing more Facebook Lives in the future. And as always, I am so grateful for each and every one of you and the opportunity to share some of my experience and perspective on this crazy world of books, speaking, publishing, and what it takes to change the conversation in your industry. All right, everyone. Bye for now. Have a great weekend.